Hello and welcome to February's webinar, Tailoring Your Case Types. I'm Lou with Trackops, and we'll get started in just a moment. Today's session should last between 15 to 20 minutes or so, and we will have a chance for questions. And I have dropped a link to our to an article in on our support to an article on our support site. Excuse me, and it'll cover a lot of the things that we'll talk about today, and it's a good thing to reference in the future. Feel free to bookmark that page. And if you do happen to have any questions, put them in that same chat box, and I'll be happy to answer them after the presentation. So today we will cover tailoring your case types, and we'll look at creating a new case type. We'll discuss reference labels, case flags, case services, and subject types. We'll edit a subject type. We'll talk briefly about document templates and case reviews. And we'll create and manage custom fields. And so when we're talking about case types, what is a case type? So when we refer to a case type, we are talking about the skeleton and the glue of your investigation. Your case type connects and gathers important information about your cases, and because sometimes case types are different from each other, Trackops does allow you to customize what information is gathered. So case types also act as your case request form for your clients. So as you think about what information you want and need to capture during case intake, consider placing those fields in your case type. Great. So I got some double click action going on. So let's look at a different example of different case types, and I already have a couple that popped up on the screen. If you're curious, what do you mean by case types, Trackops? Well, this is what we mean. We mean domestic cases, legal defense, liability, workers' compensation, service of process, pre-employment, and others. It's a mind of its own today, and others. And so pretty much if you have a case that's not covered and on this list, it's okay. If we'll walk you through making a case, and hopefully you'll be able to see that you can kind of customize it to the way that you need it. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's get started. Let's start by creating a new case type. So I'm just gonna go over to our dashboard, and our dashboard should look familiar. And I click on settings. Great. So you can see you can create a number of different aspects of your case here. So you have new case statuses here. We'd click through there to do new case statuses, and new case flags, case services. If you don't know what these are, we'll talk about some of these here in just a moment. So next, I select new case types. So you will likely need to create a new case type if you haven't already. So I already have, let's see, I already have a liability case, but I need to create a workers' compensation case type. So I'm going to go ahead and click on new case type. And then I go ahead and I can get started. Great. So I'm going to go ahead and just put the label in there, and that's what the name is. The name is the type of, this is the name of the case type, and you put this in here, and this is going to appear how you want it to appear for your clients and your staff. So this is workers' compensation. All right, so the tag is a 2-character identifier that allows you to quickly recognize the case type when you cannot see the name. You can insert this tag into your case number format, and just give me a second. I'll go ahead and drop a link to formatting your case number so you have that for your records. Go ahead and bookmark it. And so whenever you're looking at your case number, you'll be able to see that at a glance. So we'll just go ahead. WC is pretty typical. So under description, this is a brief description of what the case type is. And it's only used for reference in the settings, and it's not displayed anywhere else in the system. I'm not going to worry about a description right now, since the label obviously describes exactly the kind of case this is. Now, reference labels are an important part of gathering information for a lot of folks. So reference labels are used to capture alternative case numbers and or client reference numbers that are related to the case. So for example, if your client typically references this case type by a claim number or an SIU number, Or if you want to capture the name of, the name of the insured or the name of, I mean, you can put pretty much anything in these reference labels. So they're front and center of what you need here. So today I just want to do a claim number. Let's see, SIU number. And that's what I'm going to use today. I can always come back and edit this case type later if I need to add that third reference label. And we'll kind of see what this looks like whenever we go to create a case. All right, so when we're looking at case flags, and it's sometimes important to highlight certain information that may impact how the case is handled. And case flags provides that. It provides a quick color-coded, searchable reference of how the case should be handled. So our examples, by default, are usually rush and suspected fraud, though others may include something like surveillance aware, or if the subject is aware of the surveillance, or if the subject has historically been aggressive during an investigation. So those are flags that we would put to kind of notify the investigators to how to move forward, things to be aware of whenever they're working a particular case. So for this workers' compensation, I'm going to go ahead. It's suspected fraud and rush are going to be available to be selected for this particular case. Doesn't turn them on by default, but when I do want to add them, I can. So moving on down to case services, and the case services are the actual actions or products you will perform on your case. So now I recently added the research box. In this case, I do want to add that. I also want to check the surveillance box. Okay, so case services are all set, and great. So I'm looking down at the subject type. So you can see I have several different subject types. Now, subject types are people, places, and things that you're going to be investigating or are related to the case in somehow. And we'll take a close look at a subject type here in a moment. I do want to go ahead and select them now, the ones that I'm going to use in this particular case. I will use a claimant. I will go ahead and check in with the employer, and I'll check on residents for now. Great. So of the selected subject types, I do have to choose a primary type of the subject for the case. So for example, in this case, it's a workers' compensation case. So the default subject type would most likely be claimant. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure I select that. So when you're creating a new case type, the end user will automatically be presented with this on the form to capture the information about the primary subject. This is going to be the focus of your investigation. Great. So document templates. Now, if you have a report or a report you commonly use, you might consider using Trackops document templates. Document templates can generate information from Trackops and place it into a docx document, and they can be added to your case files later, printed or saved locally, and then you can share this with your staff and your clients. You can also use OpenOffice to create .odt files, as explained in one of our tutorial videos on our support site. I do want to go ahead and use our final detail report for this particular one. And then the case reviews. Case reviews are a great way to capture additional information. And chief among the things you can do with case reviews is letting you know how you're performing for your clients and how your investigators are performing for you. So for example, at the end of the investigation, you can instruct your staff to complete a performance review to keep tabs on the company's performance. So I do go ahead and want to make sure that we keep tabs on how we're working our workers' compensation cases. So go ahead and I check that field. All right, great. So now I also have the option. I've created a surveillance report. And since I do have some surveillance for workers' compensation, it's not a bad idea to check this. And it's a good way for the investigators doing surveillance to report back and go ahead and give me some additional information that may not necessarily be captured in other places on the particular case. I can ask a series of questions and they can report number of minutes recorded of the surveillance and other additional notes. It's a good report. Good use. Two good uses for case reviews. Now, custom fields. Now, this is where you begin to capture specific pieces of data unique to you and in the cases that you work. So you select existing or create new custom fields you want to be available for this type of case. Now, I want to add special instructions for the investigators on this case. I can do this by adding a custom field. Let's go ahead and take a look. So I want to add special instructions for a field investigator. So I want to go ahead and click Add New Field. Let's going to go ahead and name it Special Instructions. It's like the help text gives me an opportunity to add additional notes to help the investigator or the person filling out the form, to give them notes how to actually complete this particular custom field. This one is, there we go. All right, so now I want to go ahead and make sure that this is a long answer input. All right, great. So we can go through and look at the different options in the custom field area. I can redact this information if I have to, and it allows you to hide this information if it were like a social security number or some private information. The investigator or the Trackops user would have to be able to have the permission to view sensitive data, and they'd be able to toggle that information on and off. So right now, I don't need to redact it. I don't need to require it either, and this would prevent you from moving forward if this particular field wasn't filled out, and you would go ahead and check yes if you absolutely needed to have this information completed. And then also, I do want these notes to be able to be kept internal, so I do want to click yes, and that way that the client contacts would not be able to view this field. And so this is going to be only for internal use. So you want to go ahead and save this custom field. Great, now I see that this appears on the case type. That way I can input special instructions and only my investigators will be able to see that. Great, I do want to save the case type. But now I come to think of it, I don't necessarily want to capture, I'm going to click back into that workers' compensation. I don't necessarily want to capture the residence as a subject type. I'd rather have that information be captured on the actual subject itself. I'm going to uncheck that. I'm going to save this case type again. I'm going to go ahead and go in here, go back to my settings, and this is where we're going to take a look at our subject type. I'm going to click on our subject type. I'm going to click on our claimant. Great. All right, so I see here that, let's see. I don't have an address line on it on this particular subject type yet, but I do want to make sure that nobody has already created this particular custom field. So I do click on Add Line. Oh, I added that twice. And that way I can drop down, I can see, has anybody added an address line? Oh, somebody's added a street address custom field. So it's always a good idea to check to see if the field you're looking to add hasn't already been created, because it's easier to manage your custom fields if you only have one type of information or one type of custom field across all of your different case types. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add the street address. And the great thing is I can go ahead and click and drag and pull it up, put it where I need it. The right street address. Oh, I see name there. I don't need name there twice. I'm going to go ahead and take care of that as well. So doing a little bit of housekeeping on this particular subject type. So I have my full name, I have the address, I have an alias, social, date of birth, so on and so forth. Now I can capture all the information I need to on the subject type as opposed to on the case type. Obviously, if you wanted to capture the information on the case type as a subject type, you can do that. It's essentially how you want to organize your data is how your case is going to look. And go ahead and save that subject type. Great. All right. Looks good. Now I want to go ahead and create a new case of this type. So I'm going to go ahead and select this case type. So I'm going to go to Cases, New Case. I'm going to select my new client. All right, go click Acme Insurance. Go ahead and go to the main location. And great, now I see workers' compensation is selected as a case type. Go ahead and I'll click Continue. And we'll take a look here. Great. Oh, all right, great. So as we go down, we can see that I have my case flags I selected. I have my case services that I selected when I created the case type. And I have my custom field for special instructions that I created here too. So I'm going to move forward and we're going to go ahead and look at the subject type. Great. Now you see the subject type was created. I have the name and the street address that I just added. And I can see that it's organized in the way that I intended it to. So I removed the name field. That's no longer there. And I have just the full name field. It's looking good. It's looking like exactly what I need to do. I'm going to skip this step and just move forward. Great. And then the only subjects that I can currently add to this case are just the claimant and the employer, since I did remove the residence subject type. I'm done adding subjects, no supporting files. The great thing about this case is if I don't have any of this information yet, I can go ahead and always go back and add it later. So I'm going to go ahead and save case and finish. I just want to go ahead and get things rolling. And I'll have my assistant go ahead and fill out this information here in a bit. Wonderful. Great. So that is a snapshot view of creating your own personal case type. And if we have any questions, please go ahead and let us know at this time. It's a good time to kind of discuss your different questions. Oh, great. The question is, do you have to create multiple custom fields for each case type? Let's see. If you're meaning you do not need to, asking if you need to create a custom field each time you create a new case type. No, I think I mentioned that before. The custom fields exist for all of your different case types. So, for instance, I created the special instructions case type or special instructions custom field. That's going to be available to all the different cases or all the different case types that I create. So, yeah, you just do the work once, and then it's there for you later to use at another time. All right. I don't see any other questions today. That was a good question. Thank you so much. This was tailoring your case types. And this video will be made available. We'll go ahead and we'll share this on our YouTube page. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to send an email to support@trackops.com. We're always happy to answer your questions and walk you through any part of Trackops that you might need help with. Thank you again, and we'll see you again very soon with our next webinar. We appreciate you. Have a great day.